ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here is a description given by Kashyapa Muni of the result of Diti's ignorance, the action, unlawful action which Diti had committed. So Kashyapa Muni was able to foresee that there will be two sons which will be born of the womb of Diti, and he is calling that womb as contemptuous because there was a deliberate negligence of the regulative principle, and as a result, as it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, that when the woman becomes polluted, then there are unwanted progeny. The children who are born are unwanted. Varna sankara sajayate. Adharma abhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyaha. Strishu dustashu varshneya jayate varna sankaraha. So when irreligion becomes predominant, the first people who become affected are the women, because there is no more protection for them, and once woman is not protected, then the society becomes polluted, and once the women are polluted like that, then automatically there will be unwanted progeny from them. So because Diti did not observe those important principles, regulative principles as given in the scriptures, so one cannot expect that there will be good progeny. So that is what Kashyapa Muni is predicting, that there will not be good progeny, rather the children who will be born, the two sons who will be born, they will be demoniac in nature. And in the next verse their activities are described, that what is the activity they are going to do. Praninam hanyamananam. They will kill living entities. And what kind of living entities will be killed? Because killing by itself is not bad. Even Kshatriyas, courageous Kshatriyas, are also engaged in killing. The Supreme Lord also gets engaged in killing. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So killing itself is not bad. But these demoniac people, they will be engaged in killing faultless and innocent living entities. Dinanam akritagasam, meaning faultless. Akritagasam means faultless. Dinanam means innocent or the poor living entities. So such living entities will be killed. Then Strinam nigrahyamananam, they will torture the woman class. Kopiteshu mahatmasu, they will also enrage Vaishnavas or great sages, Mahatmas who are trying to propagate Krishna consciousness. So these are the activities of these demoniac people. Prabhupada translates, they will kill poor, faultless living entities, torture women, and enrage the great souls. So in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining about what is demoniac activities and what constitutes a demoniac society. So, when maximum activities are of demoniac nature, then that is what constitutes demoniac society. So just like in Kali Yuga, the maximum activities are agnostic, atheistic, asuric. So it is called as demoniac society. Even though here and there may be saintly people preaching of Krishna consciousness. But overall, it is maximum of demoniac society, what we can see. So what are those demoniac activities that Prabhupada is describing here? That this Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, who will be born of Diti's womb, what all they will do? They will kill faultless, innocent living entities. They will terrorize women, torture women, and they will enrage great saintly people who are engaged in Krishna consciousness. So these are typical activities done by demoniac people. Prabhupada explains in the purport why this killing of innocent living entity, what does it mean? Why this demoniac people wants to kill innocent living entity? What is the reason? Why asuras are interested in killing innocent, faultless living entities? Prabhupada explains it is because of to satisfy their tongue. Prabhupada is comparing actually the today modern demoniac society. They are killing cows, they are killing all innocent living entities. What is the reason? To satisfy their tongue. Everywhere practically you will find slaughterhouses are being opened. So why this killing of innocent and faultless living entities there? To satisfy their tongue. They want to eat meat. This is one. And then Prabhupada explains, wherever meat eating is there and wherever women are tortured, automatically there will be illicit sex. And wherever meat eating and illicit sex is there, their liquor will also be there. So drinking of liquor. So intoxication also comes into play. So that means the four regulative principles are broken. Wherever four regulative principles are broken, that is considered to be demoniac society. So very simple definition of demoniac activities is when these four regulative principles are broken, they are called as demoniac activities. And in the society, by and large, we can see why today's society is considered to be demoniac. Because practically everywhere you will find meat eating, everywhere you will find illicit sex, intoxication, gambling. These four activities are rampant in Kali Yuga, and that is why It is called as demoniac society. So, and these activities, it is very difficult for a saintly person to convince these asuras, these atheistic, demoniac people, because they take pleasure in all these activities. Not only they take pleasure in these activities, they are not aware of the consequences of these activities. That just for the pleasure which they are obtaining from these activities, they will have to suffer heavily. They are not aware about this. Prabhupada gives the example about that how once one saintly man, one saintly person, he advised one person who was addicted to these demoniac activities, specifically to drinking. So he told him that in the Vedic literatures, it is given that if you do intoxication, if you drink, then you will go to hell. You will have to suffer in hell. So then he started inquiring, but Suren Babu also drinks? So then the priest said, that saintly man said, then Suren Babu also will go to hell. The Bhuren Babu also drinks? That Bhuren Babu will also go to hell. Arun Babu also drinks? No, Arun Babu will also go to hell. And that prostitute also drinks? She will also go to hell. So then he said, then it is very good. All my associates will be there. That prostitute will be there, that all other drunkards will also be there. Then that is very good. Then hell is not hell, it is heaven. Isn't it? So Prabhupada explains, this is the mentality of these demoniac people. They cannot understand. Just like the pig is suffering in ignorance, it is eating stool, but it cannot understand that actually it is undergoing so much of suffering. It is rather thinking that it is enjoyable life. This life which I am living, it is more than heaven. Prabhupada says, and that's how the pigs, if they don't like the food, you cannot grow fatty. When you are growing fat means actually you are liking the food you are eating. That's why you are eating like anything. Isn't it? So Prabhupada explains, unless the pig likes its food, it cannot grow fatty. Isn't it? So why it grows so fat? Because it likes to eat that stool. Isn't it? So the pig cannot understand, living in that ignorance, it cannot understand that actually it is undergoing suffering. It is trying to enjoy that life. But Vaishnavas, being very compassionate, they want to give knowledge to such demoniac people. Prabhupada is saying here in the purport, when such social order happens, where poor living entities, faultless, innocent living entities are killed, women are tortured, and where great saintly people, they are hampered in their Krishna consciousness activities, then either the Lord Himself or through His devotees, the Lord makes changes in the social order. Prabhupada is saying here in the purport. When these are prominent in society, by God's grace, one can expect a change in the social order by the Lord Himself or by His bona fide representative. We find one such example of compassion. Just, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, we were hearing in Prabhupada's class the example of Brigari. Right? So, once Narad Muni, he was traveling somewhere near Prayag, near Allahabad, today's Allahabad, in the forest. So when he was going in that forest, he saw that actually poor, innocent, living entities, animals like deer and such animals, they were killed by someone and they were deserted, being half killed. Somebody was so cruel that he was not even giving them death, that at least when they die, they get relieved from that body, they will get another body. But he was leaving them half dead. So there was so much agony and pain they were undergoing. So Narad Muni saw this and he wanted to find out who is this cruel person. So he approached that hunter who was killing. So his name was Mrigari. That name itself, Bhagavatam explains, suggests who was enemy of animals. Ari means enemy. Mriga means animal. So one who is enemy of these animals, he is called Mrigari. So Mrigari thought, here is one saintly man coming, he is approaching me. Probably he wants some deer skin. Generally, because the saintly people, they meditate on either that lion skin or deer skin. So maybe for meditation he wants some deer skin. That is what he was thinking. So Narad Muni said, no, I don't want any deer skin. I have not come for asking you something. I have not come here for begging you deer skin. I have come here to give you something. I have come here to make you understand, to give you this knowledge. Are you aware that there is something called sin? Are you aware that there is something called punya karma? She said, I am not aware of anything like this. What is punya karma and what is sinful activities? I am not aware about that. So then Narad Muni told him that actually, why are you half killing them? First of all, at least if you kill them fully, they will not undergo so much pain. Why are you half killing them? Then he said, this is how I have been taught from my childhood. That is how my father has taught me. So that means actually these sinful people, they are not even aware of the activities they are doing. What exactly they are doing, what will be the consequences of this, they are not aware. This is one of the sign of asuras. Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita. See, in the 16th chapter, Krishna explains. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha jana na vidur asuraha. So these asura jana, they are not aware of, Prabhupada explains, pravrittim means proper action, nivrittim means improper action. So asuras are not aware of what should be done, what should not be done, which actions should be performed, which actions should not be performed. They are asuras. So actually, if you see, this is one of the characteristics of asuras. Asuras, Prabhupada explains, is not somebody with some special horns, some special teeth or something like that. Generally when we hear of asura, what do we think? Asura means they will be having some special horns, some special teeth or like that. That is not the idea of asura. Asura, these are the characteristics of asura. Asura is not aware of what should be done, what should not be done. Opposite to them is sura. They are aware what activities we should do, what activities we should not do. What should be avoided? Just like these 4 regulative principles. Why devotees want to follow that? Because by these activities, if we continue doing these activities, we are doing himsa. We are also actually engaged in killing. In two ways. By doing these activities, we are killer of the animals, and at the same time we are killer of the soul. Why? Because by doing these 4 sinful activities, we are taking away chances of people to advance in spiritual life. These 4 activities will pollute the soul more and more in material contamination. By giving up these 4 activities, we are making the environment suitable for the living entities for liberation from this material contamination, which is the goal of the Lord. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Right? Why does the Lord come? When dharma is completely gone and adharma is flourishing. So what is dharma? Dharma means to abide by the principles of the Lord is called dharma. And when we do not want to abide by the principles of the Lord, that is called adharma. Simple definition. Isn't it? So, when the living entities are progressing in spiritual life, they have become God abiding. And when they are reluctant to abide by the laws of God, that is called as adharma. So these 4 sinful activities creates an environment of more and more impurity for the soul. The living entity will become more and more entangled in material contamination. What will happen? Because as a result of that, he will perform sinful activities. What is the result of sinful activities? The living entity will have to suffer life after life. So they are not aware. Asuras are not aware. Why they are not aware? They will say, next there is no life. Living entities are born automatically. There is no soul. Why? Because they don't want to suffer. They are thinking, khao, piyo, moj karo. And who has seen next life? Where is suffering? Where is the question of suffering? Correct? So why they deny the next life is, because if they say there is next life, then they will have to account. Next life, whatever you do now, then you will have to reap that benefit. So when there is no next life, where is the question of karma at all? There is no karma. Just enjoy. Somehow or others, beg, borrow, steal, whatever you do, don't care about this has to be done, this has not to be done. Why you have to worry about all those things? Isn't it? So, because they want to enjoy their senses unrestrictedly, they don't bother about what should be done, what should not be done. They are ignorant of all these things. So this is one of the characteristic of asuras. They have no idea what should be done, what should not be done. And you can see this characteristic is there in today's society. People are not aware about these 4 regulative principles. They are not aware. Isn't it? They are drinking, they are eating meat, engaged in illicit sex, intoxication, all those things are rampant in Kali Yuga. So therefore, this is a characteristic of demoniac civilization. There are another characters very interestingly described by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Characteristic of demoniac people, characteristic of divine people. So, Krishna explains, Dambhaha, unnecessary false pride. For devotees, it is opposite. He is thinking, Trinadapi Sunichena. He thinks himself to be lower than a blade of grass. Demoniac people are unnecessarily proud of their wealth or whatever they have achieved. They have achieved by the grace of the Lord. They have achieved by their karma. They don't recognize that. They think, I have worked for it. So they become proud of their achievements. Actually, what is there to be proud about? They don't even consider that. Before birth, they did not have any of those things. After that, after death, they will not be possessing anything. So what actually belongs to him? Nothing practically belongs to him. For some time he comes and with his might, he tries to acquire all those things, object of sense gratification, and becomes unnecessarily proud of his possessions. And in pride, what does he say? There is no God. The result of pride is, he thinks, I am independent. Where is God? Who is enjoyer? I am that enjoyer. Isn't it? So this is called dambha. Then darpaha, that is called arrogance. Pride, arrogance. Abhimanaha, conceit. Krodhaha, anger. Parushyam, harshness. Ajanam, ignorance. So one who is born of these qualities, he should be considered to be demoniac. So very nicely Prabhupada explains in the purport. In this verse, royal road to hell is described. You see, this is a royal road leading to hell. These qualities. And very nicely Prabhupada explains, externally he will show religiousness, advancement in spiritual science. And in reality, he does not follow any of those principles. See? And he is arrogant of his, that I am very religious. Isn't it? So Prabhupada says, they are always arrogant, proud in possessing some type of education or so much wealth. They desire to be worshipped by others. Abhimana. Demand respectability, although they do not command respect. You see, they are actually, in Hindi we call khokla. Khokla means from outside everything appears very nice, but inside if you see, nothing is there. You see, just like if this body, imagine, this all body is supported by skeleton inside. If there is no skeleton, this body will not sustain. This nice muscle is there, everything is there. How it is being sustained? Because there is a skeleton inside. So these people do not have that inner, all this character, nothing is there. External adambar, great show, pompous show, everything is there. Greatly educated, PhDs, all those things will be there. But inside actually none of these important qualities are there. So, they desire to be worshipped by others, demand respectability, although they do not command respect. Over trifle, they become very angry and speak harshly, not gently. They do not know what should be done, what should not be done. They do everything whimsically, according to their own desire. They do not recognize any authority. These demoniac qualities, taken on them from the beginning of their bodies in the womb of their mother. And as they grow, they manifest all these inauspicious qualities. So Prabhupada explains, right from the womb of their mother, they take these qualities and then these qualities become manifest over a period of time. So such were the qualities even in Mrgari. We were discussing about Mrgari. So then, Narad Muni very, very mercifully explained to him that how he is killing these living entities and giving them so much pain, and in the future life he will have to suffer for all of them. And then he said, better to give up this engagement. So then Mrgari was afraid that this is my profession. You are asking me to give up my profession. So if I give up this profession, what I am going to earn? How I am going to have my livelihood? So then Narad Muni advised you, both husband and wife, do like this, give up this profession and don't worry about your livelihood, I will arrange for your livelihood. So because he was a saintly person, he believed in him. He had that faith that if Narad Muni is saying that he is going to give me my livelihood, then I don't have to bother. So he gave up this profession, and then he told him that you put up one small hut near this river Ganga and plant Tulsi plant and chant Hare Krishna. And don't worry, your livelihood will be arranged. So the moment he gave up all those things, this news spread like anything. Hunter has become a Vaishnava. Hunter has become a Vaishnava. A cruel hunter has become a Vaishnava. Mrigari has become a Vaishnava. So then people from all villages, they started coming and, having darshan of this great Vaishnava who has become, from hunter he has become a great devotee. And Prabhupada explains it's a tradition in India that whenever people come to see a saintly person, they bring some atta or they will bring some fruits, something like that they bring to saintly person. And very soon there was a stock of grocery, stock of all kinds of eatables for Mrigari. And he was wondering what else I should do. And then he was distributing as prasadam of the Lord. So like that he was living his livelihood. So one day Narad Muni asked his another saintly friend, Parvat Muni, that let us go. I have one disciple in near this forest in Allahabad, Prayag. So let us go and visit him. I want to see him. Want to see how is he doing. So both of them approached, and then seeing his spiritual master, so this person, this Mrigari, he was trying to pay obeisances in a very, very awkward way, falling down at some place and walking in a very awkward way, jumping like this. So Parvat Muni was surprised that what has happened? Why is he, why is he doing like this, jumping here and there and, paying obeisances like this or like that? So he asked, what happened? What is the problem with you? Why are you paying obeisances like this? Why are you jumping like this? So then Mrigari explained that actually, when I'm paying obeisances or when I'm walking, I'm just trying to see that there are so many ants here, isn't it? And they should not be killed by my feet. Or when I'm paying obeisances, they should not be perished under my body. So I've been little careful, and that is how I'm trying to pay obeisances like this. So Parvat Muni was surprised that what a great transformation has happened in Mrigari. That cruel Mrigari, the hunter, who was killing animal for the satisfaction of his tongue, who was giving them so much pain that he would leave them half dead and he would enjoy them being killed like this. Such a personality, he is not ready to even give a pain to a small ant. Doesn't want to kill even a small ant. So that is what Prabhupada is saying. Devotees, representatives of the Lord or the Lord himself, when he sees that these poor living entities, poor creatures are being unnecessarily killed, or when women are tortured, or when saintly people are hindered in their spiritual progress, the devotees of the Lord, the representatives of the Lord, or the Lord himself personally comes and changes that social order for good, so that the atmosphere can become conducive to become Krishna conscious. Similarly, we can see in the further next shloka, more we will see about this, that how Lord Chaitanya, being very, very, very merciful, adopted this method of not killing the bodies of demoniac people in Kali Yuga. Because practically the Lord saw that everybody is demoniac in Kali Yuga. So if the Lord has to kill their body, then he will have to kill practically the whole population. So the Lord decided not to take those kinds of weapon. He took the weapon of Sankirtana and killed the demoniac mentality of people in Kali Yuga with the Sankirtana Yajna. So that we will see in the next shloka. We'll stop with this. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.